Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Wow, I can't believe this is going to be my last video for 2024. You have to pardon my voice. I was sick for 24 hours, and so the congestion is still there. I feel many times better today. I did all of my holistic wellness regimen, and now I feel better than I sound. I feel like pretty much normal, but I just have some congestion. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about your goals and your New Year's resolutions, and I wanted to talk about this photo that I saw while I was researching some information about like success and goal setting and all of that. And I just thought this photo was really powerful because at first glance, you look at it and you think that it's about like other people, which I'm going to talk about as I talk about goal setting and your goals for next year and my own goals too. But when I started to look at it deeper, it felt like more about the different versions of myself that I had already gone through. So I want to talk about just the process of goal setting and what that's like and some of the realities of having people behind you and for you versus having people against you, and even sometimes battling your own mind. So many of you guys have goals related to health, fitness, finance, career, which I think is wonderful. I love setting resolutions. I know people are like, don't set a resolution, just do it, whenever. But I actually think like if you have the opportunity and it feels like a good time to do it, then just do it. I don't think we need to like be contrarian and, try and be anti-society and be unique by saying I don't set New Year's resolutions. The fact of the matter is that a lot of people look at the beginning of a year and look at it as a way to change something and to begin something new. So I'm okay with that, and I think it's a wonderful thing. But what I do want to talk about is like why a lot of people end up either stopping or not really going through with their goals. And this picture, I think, is a perfect representation of that. So obviously, you have this woman on the steps, and then you have these people, sort of angrily looking up at her, and kind of she's on this journey by herself. And the fact of the matter is that when you make changes that are generationally different or even socially or culturally different from the people who are around you, you will be on the journey for yourself. And I think it's really important to know that and to know that that's okay. It's okay that you're alone because it's lonely at the top. And the top doesn't necessarily even mean where you want to be. The top just means you're maybe at the top as it relates to like your friend group or your community or your culture. So for example, a lot of people in certain, like, let's say you live in a neighborhood where, most people make $40K a year, they live in government housing. If you, for some reason, end up making $80K a year and moving to a different city, then you're going to be lonely because you are no longer, you're at the top of like your personal group. And for a lot of people, that's very challenging. The same thing goes for health and fitness goals. A lot of people are the first people in their family to really take health seriously. People are totally fine if you do fad diets. They're totally fine if you do crazy things. They are not okay if you become a different person, which often happens when you change your lifestyle, and it's very lonely. And so it's important to just know that that is part of the process, and that the truth of the matter is, which is very hard for a lot of people to hear, is that if you have 1 million people rooting for you, a lot of times it's because they're all doing the same thing. It's not necessarily because you're doing the right thing or the best thing. So just know that you're going to be alone sometimes in your journey. And if you anticipate that and you can say, I know this is part of it, then it makes it easier to manage. I know that it's challenging. I know that it's hard, but it makes it easier to manage if you just kind of anticipate that that is part of the process. Now, this doesn't mean you go shunning people and shaming people for being different from you or doing things that are different from what you're doing, but just know that like you will naturally ostracize people because people will not be able to relate, right? People cannot relate to you prioritizing your health. A lot of people will not be able to relate to that. People cannot relate to you deciding to put your money in CDs and stocks and retirement versus buying Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton bags, and Jordans. Like, people will not be able to relate to that. And the reality is when we can relate to each other, we tend to have relationships. So you will have to find a group of people who you're going to be able to relate to. Now, you may be able to relate to some of these people in your life in different ways. Like, that really tells you the depth of your relationship, right? If you can relate to them, maybe you can't relate to them on saving, but maybe you can relate to them on walking, right? Or like health. Maybe you can relate to them with, work, right? So you just have to find different things that you will be able to relate to these people on to maintain that relationship. If you even want to maintain that relationship, if we're just keeping it a buck. The second thing I want to talk about is the fact that there are so many people just looking and watching. And this is another thing that I noticed when I got on my journey. Like, I've done several things in my life, you guys, that people, they looked down upon it. They dissented. They found to be out of the ordinary. And some even, were calling it sinful, right? The fact that I wasn't like falling in line with what everyone else was doing, only to later find out they would do the same thing. But what you'll find is that a lot of people will just watch. They may say something, they may be angry, but they will just watch. And that's normal. They'll look at you. They may say some things about you. And if you look at this photo, people have all sorts of different expressions on their face. Some people are like, what is she doing? Some people are angry. Some people are rolling their eyes. That represents reality. Like, that's what people will generally feel when you do something different. So when you're setting your goals and you start to act on these goals, anticipate that this is part of the process, is that you will have people who have thoughts and opinions about what you're doing. Now, one thing my grandmother used to say, apparently, I've never heard her to say this, but at her funeral, people said this, was that you need to get delivered from people. And let me say that again. You need to get delivered from people. What does that mean? All these people who are sitting at the bottom of the stairs while you're climbing your way to the top, you got to get delivered from their opinions. That is probably, I would say, on people's health and fitness journeys, that is probably the hardest thing for people to do, is to get delivered from other people, get delivered from their opinions. Because even though we say we don't care, it's really hard when everybody's like, oh, why are you doing that? Like, that is so weird. Why are you acting like that? Why are you eating white people food? Why are you, oh, you don't have to act like that. Why are you going to church all of a sudden? You think you're holier than thou, right? Like, you start behaving in a different way and people's opinions start to really come out. It's very easy to say you don't care when nobody's arguing with you, when nobody is calling you out, when nobody is telling you that you're doing something wrong. It is very hard when you are by yourself and all the people who you thought were your friends are claiming, or that were claiming to be your friends, are calling you out. That's a very different experience. And so that you got to get delivered from people. You got to get delivered from people's opinions, thoughts, ideas, so that you can actually act in accordance to what God wants you to do. Because a lot of us, even like church folk, will do what everybody else thinks is right because they don't read their Bibles, instead of what is actually right, or what's exactly what God is calling them to do, because they're not delivered from people yet. They're not delivered from people's opinions. And again, with health and fitness, it's the biggest one. Even with finances, because a lot of times when you're trying to save money, you have to change your lifestyle in the same way that you change your fitness, right? A lot of us spend money because it is emotional. So we buy stuff because it feels good, right? But you have to be able to say no. So when people are like, let's go shopping, it's like, no, I'm saving money. Oh, well, you're boring, or let's go out to the club. Let's go out and have drinks. And it's like, no, I'm saving money. Oh, people will have thoughts about that. So getting delivered from other people's thoughts and opinions about you is really, really crucial to actually keeping and setting your goals. And the last thing I want to talk about is the part that is probably the most difficult. And that is the fact that you have to get delivered, for lack of a better term, from the older versions of yourself that are trying to hold you back. Because at the end of the day, if you do not deal with the voices in your head that are like, you're not worthy of this, this is dumb, why are you doing this, everybody's right. If you don't work on your confidence, if you don't work on your own, oh my gosh, what's the word I'm looking for, you guys here? If you don't work on your own convictions, you will fall back into your old patterns because your brain is your greatest enemy. Your brain will say, this is ridiculous. This never worked. It won't work again. You're not losing weight. You're not saving money. You look poor. You know, when I'm coaching, we have this phrase that your mind gives up far sooner than your body does. And we talk about this with athletes. We tell them that, you know, when they're doing a workout, on the third or fourth rep, their brain will start to go. And they always look at me like, how do you know that? I'm like, because that's how your brain works. It'll go, you're dying. You're going to throw up. Or you can't do this again. Why are you doing this? What's wrong with you? Hey, don't. Oh, no. You can't keep telling her that your ankle hurts. Tell her that your stomach hurts. You can't do this. You can't finish this. This is too hard. You don't need to do this. Why are you doing this? You know, you could just give up on this last one. Do you really need to do this? That's literally what your brain does, because your brain is trying to convince you that you can't, that you shouldn't do this, because your brain's greatest goal is survival. And it's ease of survival. So when you're starting something new or changing habits, your brain is not interested because it's not easy. And so the biggest enemy is your own mind. And those people at the bottom of this stairwell actually represent your own mind too. And there's more of these people than even other people. There's more versions in your mind of yourself than people in the real world. Because when you go home at night or you're going to bed at night and the only thing that you can hear is your thoughts, these are the thoughts that might come up for you. And so you have to get your mind right. You have to battle this. And these people at the bottom of the stairs are your greatest battle, and they're in your mind. And so that is why I talk a lot about confidence. I talk a lot about truly being able to say, I've overcome my own foolishness. I've overcome my own mind. I've overcome my own self-hatred. I've overcome my own, acting against my own better interest, because that's what you do. When I'm over here, spending money frivolously, when I'm over here, not setting boundaries, I'm acting against my own interest. I'm acting actually harmfully. I shouldn't even say against my own interest, because that sounds like it's selfish. No, I am actually harming myself. And to be able to say, no, I made the right choice. I made the right decision. Lord willing, I made the right decision. That breeds confidence. And so as you start to say no to that person at the bottom of the stairs, which is actually in your own mind, that person goes away. You don't hear that, oh, you shouldn't do that. That's not right. You can't, oh, come on now. No. Everybody else is doing it this way. Why don't you do it that way? Are you sure you want to? Christianity's not really that real. The crystals and the girls, they're manifesting. Come on now, right? And then when you know you're doing the right thing, those voices start to go away, and you have to exercise that. And that is the most difficult part about setting goals and keeping them. So now that you know this, you can anticipate how difficult it's going to be. So that's it for today's video. I just wanted to share some encouragement, some upliftment, some just tips and tricks and wisdom from the years and years that I have worked with women and men on their health and fitness journeys, and athletes, and my own self, and just really working to act in the interest that is going to bring me in a position, honestly, where I can serve God and serve others in the greatest way possible. I think one of the things that we leave out of this conversation around health and fitness is that you truly cannot serve God and serve other people if you are not at your healthiest self. Now, you can do it. It's not going to be at your greatest capacity. The more that I am sanctified, which is actually part of the health and fitness process, the more I'm able to help others in their journey and help others in their process. And so that, at the end of the day, that's what it's about. And John Piper said it. He said, if you don't think that not sleeping and not eating well and not exercising and not dealing with whatever you got going on is not impacting your relationship with God and your ability to hear the Holy Spirit, you are under a strong delusion. So get up out under that strong delusion. Get delivered from people. As I said earlier, get delivered from people. Get delivered from people's opinions. Get delivered from people's thoughts and ideas, and do what is the right thing to do. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.